It's been 3 years since the Chinese Grand Prix was last held in Formula 1. Of course, it was the 1000th race ever raced in Formula 1, and now we are back. But before we get into it, we need to manage our sponsors because the contracts have all ended. And I'm going for 3 new sponsors that hopefully will bring us some more money to upgrade our facilities to Spec 3 in all different departments. But before we get into this weekend, please like and subscribe, as we are now halfway to 250 subscribers. Of course, still 118 subscribers to go, but if we all work together, then we should be able to get there. Not this year anymore, I think that's too short notice, but maybe before the 1st of February we could get 250 subscribers. As we are already halfway there. And you can see Slingshot Fuel, Ali, and another one is going to be our new sponsors. As I was thinking about Neon, but my qualifying is not the best, so I decided to go for Nisga Ottoman, or at least I think that's how you call it. And yeah, we sign with them as well, as that will give us a good weekly income and also a bonus if we get all the objectives. But as we are getting towards a customization, because I wanted to change my sponsors, you can see it's still not possible for us to put on our sponsors no matter in what color or where on the car. I just can't put on any sponsor. So if anyone knows how to fix it, then please let me know, because of course I want to have the sponsors on my car. It is a beautiful car, but still sponsors just makes it a little bit better. So yeah, that's not for today, as we are developing our car even more, because Red Bull is really close to us and we want to we are the best team at the moment, but we want to stay the best team to win the constructor title in season 3, as we do a upgrade on the chassis. But as you can see, we have an ultimate upgrade for 2.2k points, which is in time for the Spanish Grand Prix, so that's next race. But we don't have enough points, so I decided to cancel the upgrade on the chassis, because that was only a minor, and go for the ultimate upgrade on the engine power, which will give us the best engine in Formula 1. So yeah, at the durability department we can also do a major upgrade, which will also go on in time for the Spanish Grand Prix. Time for quali. You can see it's our first lap. This time around we have 4 sets of softs, which we are all going to use, because I still need to get used to this track. I haven't driven here in, I think, 2 or maybe 3 years, so we need to get used to this first corner, which is always really difficult to get right, because of course it's a long right hander. So I already thought that it would take us a few laps to get up to speed there, as Lando Norris puts in a 1:33.6. Let's see if we can get anywhere near that, or maybe in front of him, as I don't want to be knocked out once again in qualifying. If you haven't seen the last episode, then go check that one out. Link is in the description. But we are rounding up our first lap, and you can see on the minimap that we are still that darkish red. And that's because I forgot to change the color to yellow, so that will be for next race, as we are just a few hundred behind Ricciardo at the moment, and we are still 8 tenths of pole position, and my teammate is at the moment 6 tenths of pole position, so I don't have that much trust in our car this weekend to win the race. Maybe we could get a podium, or maybe Carlos could get a podium, but it's still hard to say if we can get a shot at winning, because the Red Bull looks really strong, the Ferrari also looks really strong, and I've noticed that my top speed was around 330, 35 maybe kilometers per hour, and the AI had around 340 to 345, so they are quicker on the straight, so we need to make that up in the corners, as we are trying to do. You can see a lot of time gain compared to our first lap, and let's just hope that we can get into the top 16. We are still in P9, but everybody needs to improve their time, as we are up by 1/10 at the moment, and still 1/10 as my teammate is now luckily into the top 10, and it looks like we are 2, or maybe we are P11, but that's still true to the next part of qualifying. This time around we are not out, and we can go on to qualify ourselves in the top 10, because you can see qualifying results for Q1 is Hamilton is fastest, Leclerc, Verstappen, Russell, Perez and Alonso. So the top 6 is all between those 3 teams, and we just need to fight for P7 and P8. But of course, qualifying is not my best, so we need to think about that as well, as we are at the end of qualifying 2 already. I did a banker run on this qualifying part, but I did it on the set that I used for Q1 as well, so I was a second off the pace or something around that, as Liam Lawson is behind me. He of course was my teammate in season 1, and I think that's the reason that they got him for this season, or at least the first half of season 3, as we are improving by a second now. Qualifying is complete and we are now in P16. Liam is out, Gasly is out, Tsunoda is out, Lewis Hamilton is out, or maybe he still needs to improve. We will have to wait for that to see what will happen, as we need to improve as well. 1.2 seconds is the advantage that we have over our previous lap, and it looks like we are through. Or are we not? That depends. Yes, we are. Okay, we are in P9, so we can go for pole position, but as you can see, P9 is nowhere near pole position. It's 6/10 off, but we are only 1/10 behind P4, which is my teammate. So it's really great to see that he is just a bit closer to pole position, as Ferrari looks really strong today, and Max Verstappen as well. As you can see, Liam Lawson, Yuki Tsunoda, Lewis Hamilton, Pierre Gasly, Kevin Magnussen and Dan Tickton are out in qualifying too. And so we go from a Q1 knockout to a Q3 knockout, as the clouds are getting a bit cloudy, as you could say, or the skies are getting a bit cloudy, because there was rain forecasted at the end of qualifying, but I don't think that will happen, because there's only 40 seconds left, as we did a banker run once again, and you can see we gained 6/10 on that one, and we are equal to our teammate in this first and second sector. So are we going up to P6, or is it going to be just P10, P9, P8? We just have to wait until we round the final corner, as we do now. And it's qualifying over as we cross the finish line, and it's only P8 for us. So it's not the best, but still it's good enough compared to what we did in Australia. So let's see where our teammate is at the moment, as we do our XP collection. I am at the moment in tier 21, but that doesn't matter at all in this MyTeam journey. As you can see, P8 for me, P6 for Carlos, and it's only 4/10 away from pole position, so anything can happen in the race.
The Chinese Grand Prix then is upon us once again. It's a race that saw Michael Schumacher claim his final Formula One victory in 2006, as well as Red Bull's first win with Sebastian Vettel in 2009. There's no doubt there's plenty more drama to come here in Shanghai. We're here in the Yangtze River Delta today, home of the 16 corners that make up the Shanghai International Circuit. 54% of this 3.3-mile lap is taken at full throttle, and we'll be getting up to speeds of around 200 miles per hour with DRS assistance down the back straight before the cars break into the tight hairpin at turn 14. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. What a qualifying yesterday for George Russell. He'll start today's race from pole position, and it's Charles Leclerc in P2. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Fernando Alonso, Perez, Max Verstappen and Sainz, Ricciardo, the engineer, Norris and Esteban Ocon, Ticktum, Magnussen, Pierre Gasly and Hamilton, Tsunoda, Liam Lawson, Guan Yu Zhou and Mick Schumacher, Schwartzman, Albon, Stroll, and Nicholas Latifi. Now it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track. Anthony Davidson joins me once again in the commentary box, and it's fantastic to have you with us here, but I'm curious, as a man with experience out on the track, how do you stop those pre-race nerves from becoming overwhelming when you're lining up on the grid?
Well, I imagine they'll be starting to feel the adrenaline as they anticipate the rundown into turn one, a bit like preparing to go into battle. The unknown situation will bring nerves, but that's a good thing. It will keep them focused on the moment and on their surroundings as we build towards the start of the Grand Prix.
Starting in P6 and P8, no penalties for us, no penalties for our opponents. As you can see, everybody's starting on the mediums except Lance Stroll. He's doing a 2-stop, so I can only imagine finishing, he will finish in P22, at least if nobody DNFs as we are starting. It's lights out and away we go from P8. We lose a position already to the Alpine and the Alfa Romeo as they are going 3 wide behind me. It's Lewis Hamilton down the inside as we take the inside line as well, and we overtake Ocon and Norris up into P8 once again. And we want to attack Ricciardo as fast as possible because we don't want to lose touch with the likes of Verstappen, Sainz, Leclerc, because if that happens then it's going to be really difficult as we look down the inside of Daniel Ricciardo. You can see Lewis Hamilton going left to right, and he overtakes Daniel Ricciardo as well. So he is up into P7, I think it is, or maybe it's P7, I think. No, it's P8. I am in P7 at the moment, and my teammate in P6. As you can see, everybody going wide, not taking the racing line in that corner, and it looks like Max Verstappen has got some damage. Yes, his left end plate is gone, so he will get into the pits at the end of lap 1, and that's his race over as well. Or maybe he can finish on the hard, but I don't think that they will last for 27 laps as we are looking to overtake our teammate. But I want to have a bit of patience in this race because I think that will help us a lot. As you can see, lap 3 is starting right now and it's DRS enabled. We are behind our teammates, but we take the inside line just like lap 1 and we overtake our teammate. He gives us the room because I think I just have that bit more pace. It says yellow flags. Is that my teammate out? No, luckily not. It's Daniel Ricciardo. So it's at least P21 for Lance Stroll, and I don't think that there will be a safety car. We just need to wait to see if that will happen, as we are now 2 seconds behind Leclerc. But it's of course because we were fighting with our teammate, and you can see 1 lap later the gap is still 2 seconds. So we are, compared to the front runners, we are on equal pace. So if we push, then I think that we could close that gap, but I don't want to ruin my mediums just yet. From lap 10 on, I will try to push and catch up to them. As you can see, they are really close behind each other. There's only 4 tenths in between Leclerc and Perez, and only half a second, I think, in between Perez and George Russell, as Fernando Alonso is leading the way, and he's creating a bit of a gap between him and Russell at the moment, as we are entering P6, halfway into our first stint. So let's just hope that we have a bit more life left in these tires, otherwise we won't be able to push from lap 10 onwards. And you can see now Perez really close ahead of Charles Leclerc. They are fighting for the podium because yeah, he's in P3, Charles is in P4, and still Russell is not far ahead of them. As we are entering lap 8 already, we skipped lap 7 because nothing happened there, as my teammate is still within 1 second. So he is just towing along to get ourselves up into the podium positions, because of course we want those points for the constructors title. My teammate took a Grand Slam last race in Australia, with of course leading every lap, taking pole position and taking the fastest lap. So yeah, if you haven't seen that video, then I don't know what you're doing here, but that's just a spoiler from the previous video, as he's now in P6. So it's not really the greatest race for him so far, but I don't think that he will drop down much more. as we have a bit of a pace advantage over Ocon and Hamilton at the moment, as we are closing the gap now towards Charles Leclerc. And you can see it's 2.5 seconds. It was 3 seconds at the beginning of this lap, and we are just trying to close that gap as much as possible before we get into the pit, because then we will lose a bit of time, because we are more affected by the cold tires than the AI is. As I like to take that inside line in turn 1, I don't know, the racing line says that we should take it a bit wider, but I just prefer the inside line. It feels a bit faster, so I hope it's a bit faster, otherwise I just lose time for driving my own line. As it's now lap 12, almost time for our pit stop. You can see we are now for the first time within 2 seconds of Leclerc. Of course, there's still no DRS, so we need to be just a bit faster, but unfortunately we do not have the best in-lap, as we are now into the pits in lap 13. You can see the penultimate corner, and I think it's Leclerc who is going to go into the pit as well. Yes, Leclerc goes into the pits, Perez goes on for another lap, and we cut a bit of this corner because we want to gain as much time as possible. As we are now entering the pit, no speeding in the pit lane, so we don't have a penalty, and Ocon and Hamilton are in the pit as well. And you can see it takes a while for us to get released out of the pits, and that loses about 4/10, maybe half a second, as we come out just ahead of Schwartzman, so we don't lose a position to him, as I really want to get these tires up to temperature as soon as possible, so that I can go and attack Leclerc. But of course, if Perez comes out of the pits ahead of Leclerc on cold hards, then we can gain a lot of time if our hards are then up to temperature. As you can see, everybody's in the pits, my teammate as well, and we put in a purple third sector. Of course, that's mainly straight, but still, I didn't use that much ERS. As you can see, Perez is ahead of Leclerc, and they are really close behind each other. So now we need to gain a lot of time. As you can see, the gap has shrunk from 3 seconds to 2.5 seconds in just that first sector. So if we can gain another 1.5 seconds, as we put in a purple first sector and it's a green second sector, you can see the gap is now 1.5 seconds. So we are gaining so much time, but we need to gain even more to get ourselves in the fight for the podium. You can see on the minimap now that Fernando Alonso is just in a league of his own, and I don't think that he's pushing, so he is really that fast this weekend. As you can see, fastest lap for us, it's the first lap we do that is underneath 1 minute 35, so I'm really happy with that. But of course we still need to move on, and this is now in lap 16 the first time that we get DRS from Leclerc. So that's a great feeling to have, because that means that we do have the pace on these hards. As my teammate is dropping down, he's now 9 seconds behind us. Does he have some kind of damage or something like that? As Ocon is 7 seconds behind me, so it's not like the car doesn't have any pace. It just looks like it's not Sainz his race. So he is now fighting with Lewis Hamilton to try and stay in P7. As we are in lap 18, we are once again getting towards the long back straight here in China, and I try to save as much ERS as possible to deploy it all on Charles Leclerc to overtake him this lap. Of course, we need to still overtake Perez and Russell as well if we want to get P2. Maybe if we only overtake Perez, we are still on the podium, but I want all the points that I can get as we go down the inside of Charles Leclerc. And as you can see, we overtake him quite easily, but he has a better traction out of that penultimate corner, and we are still side by side as we go on towards the final corner, and we use a beautiful switchback to overtake him, and that's us up into P4. You can see a bit of a jiggle with the steering wheel because I was happy. And I thought, yeah, why not? As we are now 1.6 seconds behind Perez, so we need to gain 1 second to him as well to stay, really close behind him and use not too many ERS percentages, because we need to save those because we want to overtake him, and that's necessary for an overtake. Of course, the Ferrari felt a bit faster. As the Ferrari engine is the best at the moment. Also, it was in between the Season 2 and Season 3. So I think it's going to be a bit easier to overtake Perez and Russell. Of course, Russell doesn't have DRS from anyone ahead. As we are now in lap 21, it's almost the end of the race already. As we get DRS from Perez, luckily that gives us hope that we can overtake Perez. Maybe not on the straight, maybe into the first corner or maybe into this next corner, but I don't have the best exit, so it's not this lap that we will get him. Maybe in the next lap or the lap after that, but we need to overtake him as fast as possible because we need to overtake Russell as well, and that will take us some time. As well as we are now at the end of lap 22, you can see really close behind Perez. Are we going to take him into the first corner? It does look like it. We are still behind him, only 5% ERS left as we take a bit of a wider line which cuts to the inside, and we are at the inside of Perez, and he gives us room just like our teammate did, and that's the third overtake that we do already into the first corner, and that's us up into P3. And that's a podium for us at the moment. We still need to overtake Russell for P2, but at the moment it's P3. So that's a great race already, starting from P8 and finishing in P3, P2. Or if Perez and Leclerc overtake me once again, it's still P5. It's still 10 points that we get. So it's still a good race for us. Not that good for our teammate, who is now trying to catch up to Ocon once again, as we are in the final 5 laps, and it's just taking a bit of patience, a bit of time for us to get our ERS once again up to around 50%. I think that's what's necessary to overtake someone on the back straight. You can see we are within 1 second, and we are within half a second even, but it's just too far back to overtake him in this penultimate corner. But maybe, just like we did on Perez, we can take him into the first corner, because of course that's the corner where we are strong at overtaking. We did all our overtaking except for one on Leclerc. So we put in a purple third sector and we are going down the inside, but it looks like Russell has a DNF. Russell has a mechanical failure. Oh no! Oh, I am so happy that I already moved to the inside and that I didn't crash into Russell, because that would be race over for us as well. But it's George Russell out of the race, and you can see once again I put a little jiggle into the steering wheel, as this means that my teammate is getting one position for free. So he's up into P6 if he can defend from Lewis Hamilton. But nothing happened in those final laps. As you can see, a second warning of the race. And I just tried to play a little with Stroll. As you can see, he's in P20. I didn't expect anything else, because a 2-stop doesn't work. But the difference between Stroll and Verstappen is really big. It's around 40 seconds, so I don't know where this went wrong. As Fernando Alonso wins the Chinese Grand Prix, and we come to cross the finish line to take P2. Okay, let's go. This is just amazing. Starting in P8, climbing all the way up to P2, it's absolutely amazing.
It's a performance to be proud of from our Chinese Grand Prix winners here today. Tell me, Ant, how do they manage to achieve this win?
I think it was clear what the main contributing factor out on track was: speed. I know it sounds like an awfully reductive statement, but fast cars win races, and we saw that today with our winner.
And here we are, a team that is no stranger to the podium, taking their place on top once again. A sublime race today, and a stunning win for Ferrari.
It's just been an amazing race. You can see Fernando Alonso on the top step of the podium. We are alongside with him, as well as Sergio Perez. And it's really good to see Perez on the podium, because that gives us a bit of an advantage compared to Ferrari. Of course, we are behind Fernando Alonso and our teammate is behind Leclerc. So we lose points, but of course, because Perez is on the podium and not Leclerc, we don't lose as much as we would otherwise. So yeah, it's a great thing to see that we take our second podium of the season. Of course, our first race wasn't that well. We finished in P12, but our teammates took the win. As you can see, he's in P6. He started in P6, so not the worst race, of course, but still not what I would have hoped for him. As he finishes just a few thousand behind Ocon, so it's really sad to see that we didn't overtake him, because that would change it all up. And Max Verstappen finishes in P17. As we take a look at the standings right now, you can see driver standings. Fernando Alonso takes the lead as we are up into P5. And the constructor standings isn't anything different. You can see it right now, if I'm correct. No, we are waiting a bit longer. So yeah, we are 18 points behind Ferrari. It's a gap of 35 points between Ferrari and Red Bull. And Alpine moves up into P4. But that's already it, guys. The Chinese Grand Prix is over and we are moving on to Spain this Sunday. It will be a special livery for Christmas, of course. But there's a season break in between this race and Spain. So if you have enjoyed this video, then please like and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye. So we lose a few points to Ferrari. But there's